Let's start from the beginning. I lived with my dad and I attended school and whatnot. I have many friends at school, none that I would trust contacting right now. There was a boy at my school that I found very attractive, and he found me attractive as well. We both got along pretty well and we both liked to hang out with each other, even going as far as inviting him to my own home. We were both 17 at the time and it was really good spending time together. My father always asked me about him and if we were dating, but I always told him that we were only friends, which is true. We were only friends, but it didn't mean that I did not want to date him. In fact, I did want to date him. I just felt like it should be him to ask me out. We drove to school and sometimes he offered to drive me from and to school. One day he offered to take me to Waffle House, which is one of my favorite restaurants to dine in, and we had a great time. It was at this point that I no longer cared about him asking me out, and I just outright asked him subtly. He wasn't understanding what I was trying to tell him, so I don't blame him since I was really nervous. He didn't like me that way, and I thought he was only my best friend. Once we finished our meals, he drove me to my house. We arrived, and before I continue the story, I should say that me and my dad don't get along really well. And my dad doesn't like when I bring guys over to the house for the obvious reasons. Ever since I started high school, he changed. Anyways, my birthday is a week away, and after Waffle House, he drove me home. For the sake of the story, let's call him Chris. I really wanted to tell him how I felt about him, but I was speechless. So instead of saying anything, I just went in for the kiss, and he pulled away. We stared at each other for a second, and we started kissing each other again. We stopped, and I asked if he wants to come inside. He agrees, and we sit on the couch and continue where we left on back in the car. I won't go into any further detail because I'm pretty sure you already know what happened. While we were doing what most teens do irresponsibly, my father walks in, and I freeze in fear. I didn't expect him to come home as soon, so he usually gets out of his work during midnight, and it's barely 9 right now. It was dark in the room, so we froze in our tracks, and he didn't notice us on the couch. But he went marching upstairs, and I told Chris to quickly dress and leave while he still has a chance, and that I'll see him in school. He doesn't find me upstairs, so Chris leaves, and I go to the bathroom downstairs. I get out after a few minutes, and he asks me what I'm up to. I tell him that I was in the restroom and I was just on my phone. He asks whose car that was in the front, and I play dumb and ask him what car. We both check outside, and of course, he's already gone. He looks around and, dear God, Chris left a rubber on the floor, and my dad finds it. He asks me what I was doing, and he already knows what went down, so I told him I had a boy over. He yells at me, but I wasn't in the mood, and I'm on my way to my room. He takes my phone, my laptop, and my gaming system away, and tells me that I'm not getting it back, so I'll learn to respect the rules of the house. This angers me, and there's nothing else I can do, but I do have a spare phone that he forgot that I had, so I decided to use that for entertainment. Later that night, me and Chris text, and it's official. We're both dating. But even though I'm in a relationship, I don't find living with my dad to be good for myself, so I decided that after my birthday, I'm leaving my father. I don't want to leave alone, so I begin making a plan to ask Chris to see if he would run away with me. How would he react if I asked him to run away with me? So I come up with a plan. During the week, I tell him I'm pregnant and I'm gonna run away and I want him to come with me. I know, dumb idea, but coming up with a plan to run away with me. He tells me that he'll think about it, and on my birthday I asked him again, but I wasn't surprised at the outcome. He blocked me, so that was pretty much confirmation that he isn't a reliable person to run away with, so I decided to just leave by myself. I packed my things, take some money and valuables to sell at a pawn shop, and head out to stay with my friend from school who's a girl. I told her I just need one night to figure out my next move, and she allows me to stay. And I decided to download Tinder and maybe use someone for a ride, maybe even a place to stay. I know, not good to be using someone, but you have to understand that I was pretty desperate. and I was in survivor mode, and I'm not returning to my father. He'll probably be pissed that I took some of his things to sell and his money in the safe. Anyways, I meet a guy who's actually kinda handsome, and I told him my situation, and he understood, and he's letting me stay at his place as long as I need. He won't be providing me a ride since I'm too far away at the moment. I meet another guy who'll give me a ride for a price, of course, and he takes me. Once we arrive, he's already expecting payment, but I told him I have nothing to give, and that I'm broke. He's obviously mad and then asks if I can perform any favors on him as payment, but I told him no, and my boyfriend was waiting inside for me. He kicks me out of the car and calls me a bitch before driving off and yelling, "Fuck you and your boyfriend." I shrug it off and I meet the guy. His name's Daniel and he seems pretty nice. He's not like most guys where they don't have manners and such, and he dresses formally most of the time. Suits, sweaters, cardigans, etc. At first he didn't seem dangerous to me and I was actually attracted towards him. But me being me, I of course didn't make a move on him. He lives in a small apartment but it looks really nice. Anytime it's time for bed and he gives up the bed for me and he offers to sleep on the couch. I told him it's not necessary and he can sleep on the bed with me. During the night I found him standing right next to me, but I didn't think much of it since I felt safe with him. I went back to sleep and woke up the following day. He wasn't in bed, so I got up and went to the living room where I saw him cooking breakfast in his kitchen. He cooked for both of us and he had to leave, so I'm free to shower and use any clothes that he has. I take a shower and I notice that there's no curtain, but it didn't really bother me. I showered for a good half hour and I put a towel to go get changed. I put on one of his turtlenecks on and I just watched TV since I didn't have service on my phone. It's kinda ironic since I was watching the show You on Netflix. Anyways, he comes back home a few hours later and he has some fried chicken for both of us. We eat our meal together and he says he's gonna shower and he'll be out in a few minutes. I wait for him and once he's out, we decide we should go to bed already. While in bed, I decide I want to make out with him, but when I kiss him, he asks politely to stop. He tells me that I'm very attractive, but that he's not interested in a relationship of the sexual kind. I tell him okay and apologize, and he tells me to not worry, and that they should sleep already. I'm already feeling dizzy, and before I know it, I'm knocked out. I have no recollection of what happened that night, and he probably drugged me while we were eating, but I wake up with a big headache. He's still sleeping, and I go to the restroom to use it, and I find a picture on the wall with a small hole big enough to peek through. I can't believe it, I never noticed it before. I can actually see through it, but it didn't really dawn on me that he probably watched it through, and he could have been watching me the entire time when I was showering. I looked around the restroom and I didn't find any aspirin there. I look around the house for some, but to no avail, and I eventually come across a box. I open it and there's a camera inside. It's kind of strange. I didn't think much of it, but I went through it. What was inside the camera made me sick to my stomach. It had footage of him with previous girls, performing acts on them, some where there was a knife involved. I don't know if any of the footage in there was allowed, like if the women had allowed him to record them, but there was nothing. It just really sickened me. And I'm not going to go into much detail. I also found pictures of myself in the shower and video where there was a knife rubbing against my skin with me moaning, and more things that I'm not going to go into detail. I was sick. I had to leave, but behind Daniel was standing right there. He saw that I found his box and he punches me hard in the face, and I began bleeding profusely from my nose. I get up and grab a kitchen knife and threaten to stab him with it, but he just laughs. I then stab him in the leg after he tried chasing me and he falls over in pain, and I grab a rag to cover my bloody face and I book it. It was still dark in the morning, so I left. It's been a whole year since the event, and I'm now hiding with another man who hopefully isn't like David. I'm a lot safer now, and I'm currently in quarantine. I haven't went to the cops since I'm technically a criminal myself. I'm just gonna mind my own business from now on. Hopefully I'm good. So Daniel, let's not meet ever again. Got an idea for a video? Submit it to me on my Instagram in the description below. Be sure to subscribe for future videos. Thanks for watching.